real musician makes music, original shit.
Right.
You know, a real musician, if you want to put it on the 100, a real musician makes music. You know, but all that sampling is cool if it's some distinctive samples, but if it's the common shit and all these guys that are mostly in the, you know, in the sample catalogs that everybody common use, to me, it's like, it's not even worth it if it's something that's been used a lot. You know what I'm saying? If it ain't obscure and you really went out to fucking Jupiter to find it somewhere and all that, that's cool. But if it's some shit that, you know, you be like, okay, you found that shit at the corner in the fucking milk crate. I mean, it's cool.
Right.
It's cool, but it's not like, you know, it ain't that serious.
Well, speaking of being different, when you're writing as a different character or putting out an album as a different alias, how do you find writing wise you channel differently creatively when you're Dr. Doom or Dr. Octagon or Reverend Tom or Mr. Green or Kool Keith? How does that work?
Well, when I get yellow pads, because I write, and when I take a set of pads, when I buy a pack of pads, 10 papers come in, I say this album, this stuff is Octagon stuff. You know, this stuff over here is going to be sex stuff. This stuff is pimp stuff. This stuff over here going to be talking shit stuff, you know, but I use it as, you know, when I'm working on a project, I get pads. It's like when I did the Broadway Billy album. I take the stuff and put it all in that batch. It's like I'm cooking. I'm putting those ingredients only. I'm writing in that mold for a week of that album. Sometimes I could write with two hands at the same time. So that's if I'm doing two albums, I write with two hands at the same time. So I'm writing one album with the left hand. I'm writing one album with the right at the same time. I write with two hands at the same time. That's different. So I do that. I don't do that often, but I write with two hands at the same time, I could basically say. But if it's the project that pays the most money, I write with that hand more. Whatever hand is paying the more money, I write. But I'm saying I write with two hands at the same time. These motherfuckers can't write with no hands.
That is true.
These motherfuckers out here can't write with no hands. All of them might have a fucking writer. They can't write with no hands. I write with two hands. These motherfuckers can't write they can't even write their way out of fucking paper bag.
That's true. So then what was the genesis of the Key Salon then?
That was a project I did real quick too, because sometimes people hire me because you got a lot of artists around the world. Listen up. You got a lot of artists around the world that can't rap, but they got beats. And you got a house full of beats and you need somebody to write some dope shit to them. So sometimes people call you and you do a project and they want you to be on a project because you got a gifted talent and a good voice and you say nice stuff and you're not going to say the average normal shit that everybody usually say. They want you to do a whole album because they like that craft that you could do a whole album and get it done and it sounds good. That's what I get too. I get jobs of people, you know, you might have a guy somewhere, anywhere in the world, anywhere in the South, anywhere in New York, anywhere in California, anywhere in Texas, anywhere in Germany, anywhere in the UK. He got a lot of beats in his house, but he want a voice on those beats. You know, you got a lot of artists out there. You got a lot of producers. They need real voices on those beats. If you're a real top producer and I ain't been on your beats, you probably whack as fuck. You really probably whack as fuck. Because if I ain't been on your beats, a lot of it is true hate too, basically, is real true hate, you know. But they don't really do nothing to move me anyway. A lot of people got the same kind of beats and everything, and they use the same formula and shit. It don't move me, but you know, you got a lot of people around the world too, and they kind of go through the red tape of the hot producers. It's sometimes the underground producer or the producer that you never heard of is the most hot producer because his beats are more aggressive because he's not he's not quote unquote in the limelight a lot. Most of those limelight guys, they got the wackest fucking library because they built their name up so they could throw you some shit. They could throw you their shit. You know, it's just a name, but they'll throw you dog shit. Right. You know, the beats be like, you know, the name is more than the beat. You know, it's like, oh, you know, you got him on it. He's doing the song, but you like, the beats is whack as fuck, but it's the name. You know, sometimes you get a hungrier producer that ain't got a name, but his beats are, and what you got a lot of these known producers snatching beats from these guys underground, and then they just use the name. They use their name, but the guy that really did the beats, you know, they keep them in the dark. They probably throw him a couple bucks, be like, don't say shit. Let me get these beats.
Right.
That's how it worked.
Yeah. So for you, looking back since Dr. Octagon kicked off this whole other wave for you, looking back, what do you think Dr. Octagon did or taught you about how to move your career forward?
Dr. Octagon taught me, like, you know, I had a green light to do something different and everything, you know, and it turned rock, pop, alternative, rap, and all that. So, you know, I was the first artist probably besides Run-DMC to collaborate and feel to do, you know, alternate projects, not to say alternative, alternate projects, to say, well, you can do something that people think you can't do. You know what I'm saying? All this stuff that I help open doors for is for people to be different, you know, like people can do different shit. Like, you know, you got the lane now to be different. You know, I gave it that green light. I put that green light in the whole rap community that, you know, so when I came out, everybody, you know, I was playing like, you know, all these events that didn't even use rap. Now, you know, like you said, all these, you know, all these events, all these festivals and stuff that didn't even take rap. I was the only rapper on those festivals. Now you're getting so many artists coming to those festivals that they wouldn't have done when I was doing it. The ones that they didn't do when I was doing these festivals, like Coachella and, you know, anything, all these Woodstock kind of wannabe festivals. And, you know, Coachella was one of the dopest ones, but they got their own stamp. I mean, I know what else they used to have in all that in California. You know, all the festivals that everybody doing, you know, even if it was Rolling Loud, all these festivals just jumped on radio artists, basically. You know, most of them, they went to the propaganda, you know, they just jumped on. But I played all, you know, from even theaters and all these places that only did rock bands. I was the only rapper doing that. Now you got everybody trying to get in there. You know, people are trying to come out their strip clubs and try to get in festivals. People trying to come out of their little hole in the wall spots, trying to get in festivals. People trying to come out of their house, trying to get in festivals. People trying to come out of their stage in the basement, trying to get in festivals. I was doing all these shits that these motherfuckers wouldn't have done back then, even when they wasn't taking these motherfuckers. So I put a stamp on that shit. And people think it's new, like, oh, you playing that and oh, you playing this. I'm like, I played these places when y'all was thinking it wasn't even cool to play. Now y'all all doing this, everybody posting. You know, people, the average ghetto person, you know, is walking around with a festival with kids, you know, light, you know, with green and with their mouth turning green, blue, and purple and everything now. And they think they started something. I'm like, this shit been going on.
Yeah.
This shit been going on. Like, this shit been going on.
And something else that's going on too that you helped popularize was putting out so much material. So what?
Well, yeah, that's another thing too. Like I said, we talked about, you know, you only, you know, whatever. I don't know. These motherfuckers get money. They start thinking they could live forever. So they feel like I could put an album out every 90 years. That's how the average motherfucker think. But me, I just put music out. You know, it's no law. It's no law. You make music. Like, you know, Morris Day make music. Like, who gives a fuck? Smokey Robinson, get in the studio. These rappers, all these niggas, everybody make records. I don't give a fuck. Like, the funk bands, and they made music, you know, maybe they had a little different formula. You know, they get high, they need, you know, back then everybody needed their powder and all that. I never used it, but a lot of these dudes, you know, they need chemicals to get their record done. You know, they need powder and, you know, they need cough syrup and all that shit to get an album done, which is kind of cool, but they fucked up the game because you know what happened too? Well, it took them 5 years to do one album, and then the company wasted their money. So that's what fucked the game up with a lot of companies. These motherfuckers couldn't get an album done with $1 million. How can you not get an album done with $1 million fucking dollars? You should smack your fucking self in the face. Cause come on, Sean, how can you not get an album done with $1 million? Like a lot of these motherfuckers, you know, fucked it up. They went powdered up, you know, smoked, drunk cough syrup, all kinds of different shit, and they ain't turned in no record. They turned in one song. So companies are like, yo, this motherfucker had $1 million to do an album, but he went out and he might as well have shot heroin up his ass because he fucked up everything. So that's what you have, you know, that's what you have. So, you know, and I'm ashamed of my peers, Sean, because you know, they out there with stock, you know, motherfuckers sitting up with do-rags on, ashy face, fucked up face, ain't put no lotion on day one. Motherfuckers sitting up there fucking up everybody, looking like, yo, I want to do bad. I want to look fucked up. I want to come out and talk and make some jokes and look fucked up. Like, yo, man, nah, go back in the house, fucking fix yourself up. Cause you represent rap at the end of the day, you know, you represent rap, but you got like, you got these new motherfuckers and different people looking at that and going, yo, that's how you end up. Like, and they laughing, people, you know, putting the brick up to their head saying, oh, well, I ain't gonna look like that motherfucker. You know, that's the way, you know, and that's why these motherfuckers is dumb. I can't fuck with them at all. That's why I don't attend a lot of that shit at all, because, you know, and me speaking up for Sad too, he never really, you know, popped the cork. Like a lot of these producers, you know, that's supposed to be hot and all that, you know, only one I could give credit to, like I said, is Premier. But a lot of these producers, they was on Sad's dick hard. If he come to a party, they'll be like, yo, sucking his cock and everything. Yo, you man, you the man. Yo, I listen to your shit forever. Yo, man, I grew up sucking your cock, man. Yo, and all this shit. But when he not around, everybody's like, yo, I'm the man. Yo, I did this. When they on like, what it is though, when a lot of these motherfuckers get on the networks, when they get on TV or they get on the radio, they get amnesia real quick. They got this thing that is called sudden amnesia. They get on, they're not gonna say that shit on no big networks.
Right.
You know, they're not gonna say that shit on big networks, but they'll get on the networks and that amnesia kick in. But when they get off the networks, they at the party sucking his dick. Yo, you the man. You know, it could be all kinds of producers, but they get on the networks, they forget all that shit. Just like, you know, rap shit too. When they get on the networks, they forget all the shit that they'll tell you that shit in person, but you be like, this motherfucker going to the networks tonight. Let me see if he say this shit. He was sucking cock in the club, but he'll be like, once he gets to the club, he forgot everything in that little short trip when he went to the network. So what happens is a lot of people that see him, they like talk the same shit. Cause I be next to him and I be hearing this shit. And the motherfuckers will go to a big station or a television show. They won't say none of that shit. They'll be like, yeah, you know, I was in the yard cutting grass and everything. You'll hear none of that shit near, and they be asking, oh, who's the best? Who was one of your favorite producers? They'll pick some motherfuckers randomly that they don't even know they fucking self. You know, they'll be like, I like Prince. I looked up to Prince and I looked up to this person and that person. And, you know, you'll be like, is this the same motherfucker last night that was in the club? Like, yo, man, I grew up to your shit. You know, I fed my baby to your shit and I did this and, yo, man, I jerked off to everything you made, man. You know, so I'm like, where's this at when you tell your story? Where's all this at when you tell your story? You don't hear none of that. So, you know, it's the same with the, you know, The same with the dudes that do the verses. Yo, when I see you, man, yo, we gotta do something together. Yo, we gotta hook up and do a track. Yo, send me your email right away. Yo, come on, man. They hawking you for the email. Give me your shit, man. Yo, I'm gonna call you in the morning. You get that record, you get the email, you send that motherfucker the track, and you surprised that motherfucker, the vocals be in his inbox. Motherfucker be acting like they never got it. It'd be a ghost email. You be like, they got the track, but they probably heard the lyrics and be like, damn, I ain't gonna do that shit.
Be sure to check out The History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Yo MTV Best with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.